Hello, flesh bags. It's me, Grim. Let me tell you a lovely rags to riches story. Brooklyn lad, no degree, dropped out of college twice, the overachiever. And yet somehow, he teaches at a school for the mega rich he's got no business teaching at. Door swings open, strolls onto Wall Street with no qualifications. Door swings open. A self-made billionaire hands him legal power to sign his name and spend his money. Great big door swings wide open. Funny that, isn't it? Everywhere this fella goes, doors that stay locked shut for the likes of you just open. And out the other side comes a private island, a jet, and a little black book stuffed with presidents and princes. Nobody's that charming, my darlings. Somebody was holding those doors. The question is why? The evident conspiracy files. Mind the door. Huh. You are listening to the man who knew everyone.
Every conspiracy has a beginning. Some begin with a secret meeting, some with a missing document. This one begins with a question. How does one man, a college dropout, a former maths teacher from Brooklyn, with no obvious source of extraordinary wealth, become trusted by presidents, princes, billionaires, scientists, and some of the most powerful people on the face of the earth? How does he end up with a Manhattan townhouse the size of an embassy, a New Mexico ranch, a Paris apartment, and his own private island in the Caribbean, and yet leave behind a financial trail so thin that to this day, no one can fully explain where the money came from? Tonight, we don't begin with Jeffrey Epstein. We begin with the doors that opened for him, and with a simple, unsettling fact that the entire story hangs from. The powerful did not merely tolerate this man. They sought him out. They flew with him. They dined with him. They funded him, befriended him, and protected him for decades. Welcome, Shadow Dwellers, to the Evident Conspiracy Files. I'm Mark Mayhew. This is the first of 3 episodes on the Epstein case, and I want to tell you at the very start how we're going to do this, because it matters. We are going to separate 3 things and keep them separate all the way through. What is documented, what is alleged, and what remains, to this day, unanswered. We will not hand you rumour dressed as fact. We won't need to, because the documented truth of this case is damning enough on its own. Tonight, the rise. We travel through the shadows until the tin foil catches fire.
Hello, meat sacks. It's me, Grim. And I'm going to say something now that I have never once said in the entire run of this show. So mark the date. Tonight, I'm going to keep a lid on myself. Not because the man we're discussing doesn't deserve every filthy word in my very extensive vocabulary. He does, and by God he'll get them. But because of who's on the other side of this story. There are real people alive right now who were children when this happened to them. And they are the only people in this entire sordid tale that I will not have a single laugh at the expense of. Not one. So when I go quiet, that's why. But make no mistake about where my knives are pointed tonight, because I have been in this trade a long time, and I have collected a great many wicked men, and I have a special, personal, professional contempt for the kind we're discussing across these 3 episodes, the kind that hurts the smallest and the most defenseless, and then hides behind money and powerful friends so that nobody can touch them. So when it's his turn, and it's coming, I'm going to enjoy myself. But tonight we start where he started, as a nobody. Go on, Mark. Show them the nobody.
Jeffrey Edward Epstein, born January 1953, Brooklyn, New York. A Jewish family, ordinary means. His father worked for the city's parks department. By all accounts, a bright boy, genuinely gifted at mathematics. And here begins the first strange chapter, because his rise doesn't follow any of the normal rules. He attended 2 colleges in New York, Cooper Union, then New York University, and he left both without a degree, no qualification, and yet, in 1974, at just 21 years old, with no degree, he was hired to teach mathematics and physics at the Dalton School, one of the most exclusive, elite private schools in all of Manhattan, a school for the children of the New York aristocracy. Sit with that for a moment. A dropout, hired to teach the children of the powerful at one of the most prestigious schools in the country. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it turned out to be the single most important thing he ever did. Because Dalton wasn't really a teaching job. It was a doorway. It was where a boy from Brooklyn first got into the room with the children of the rich, and far more usefully, with their parents.
A college dropout, no degree, walks into one of the poshest schools in New York, and they hand him the chalk. And you and I both know, fleshbags, that if you turned up to teach at a place like that, with 2 dropped-out degrees and a winning smile, you'd be escorted off the premises before you'd found the staff room. But not our Jeffrey. Doors just open for him. That's the recurring theme of this whole episode, and I want you to start counting, because I'll lose track every single stage of this man's life at the exact moment he should hit a wall, a locked door, a no, a who the hell are you? The door just swings open instead, and a rich and powerful hand reaches out and pulls him through. Once is luck, twice is charm. But this happens over and over and over, and eventually, my loves, he was just very charming, stops being an explanation, and starts being a question. Carry on. Get him to Wall Street. That door opened too, I'll bet.
It did. And this is where the pattern really announces itself. While teaching at Dalton, Epstein tutored the children of the wealthy families who sent them there. And one of those connections, accounts vary slightly on the precise introduction, but the outcome is documented, led him to the attention of Alan Ace Greenberg, the chairman of the Wall Street investment bank Bear Stearns. And in 1976, Jeffrey Epstein, the maths teacher, no finance degree, no experience, walked off the schoolroom floor and onto the trading floor of a major investment bank, and he rose fast. Within a few years, he'd become a limited partner. By 1981, he'd left to start his own money management firm. Now here's the first genuinely important financial detail, and I want to be precise, because precision is our whole method tonight. Epstein's own account of his Wall Street career was always, in the words of investigators, sketchy. He would later boast that his firm managed money exclusively for billionaires, that he wouldn't take a client worth less than $1,000 million. It's a hell of a claim, but for decades, across all the reporting and all the investigations, Only one client from this era was ever publicly, definitively confirmed. Just one, and that one man would become the key that unlocks Epstein's entire fortune, and possibly the entire mystery. His name was Leslie Wexner.
One client. One. He's swanning about telling everyone he only deals with billionaires. He's got the townhouse and the swagger and the private jet. And when you actually go looking for the roster of all these fabulously wealthy clients, there's one bloke on it. That's not a business flesh bags. That's a front with good tailoring. If I told you I ran the most exclusive restaurant in the world, billionaires only, and you popped round and found one fella eating alone in an empty dining room, you'd have questions, wouldn't you? You'd start to wonder what the restaurant was actually for. Tell them about Wexner, Mark. Tell them about the power of attorney, because this is the bit that made my jaw drop, and I don't have the muscles for it.
Leslie Wexner, a genuine self-made billionaire, the retail magnate behind an empire that included The Limited and Victoria's Secret, one of the richest men in America, and for around 20 years, Jeffrey Epstein was his money manager, his financial advisor, his right hand. But it went far, far beyond ordinary financial advice, because at some point, Leslie Wexner granted Jeffrey Epstein full power of attorney. And I need you to understand what that actually means, because it's extraordinary. It meant that Epstein could act with the legal authority of a billionaire. He could sign documents in Wexner's name, borrow money, spend money, buy and sell property, hire and fire, in the name of one of the wealthiest men in the country. One of the richest men in America handed a former school teacher the keys to his entire fortune. And it was through this relationship that much of Epstein's visible wealth appears. That famous Manhattan townhouse, one of the largest private residences in New York, came to Epstein via Wexner. The access, the respectability, the doors into the highest tier of American money and power, a great deal of it traces back to this one strange, total relationship. Wexner has since said he cut ties with Epstein in 2007, and that Epstein had, he alleged, misappropriated vast sums from him. But for 2 decades, the arrangement made Epstein who he was. He didn't earn his way into the elite. He was, in effect, issued a billionaire's credentials, and nobody has ever fully, satisfyingly explained why.
Right, let me make sure you've all felt the weight of this, because people skate right over it. A billionaire, a self-made, sharp-elbowed, nobody gets rich being daft billionaire handed this man the legal power to be him, to sign his name, to move his money, to spend his fortune. You wouldn't give that to your spouse of 40 years, flesh bags. You wouldn't give that to your own mother. That's the most trust one human being can legally place in another. And a titan of American retail handed it to a bloke whose entire CV was taught a bit of maths, no degree, quite charming. Why? What does a college dropout have? What does he know? What can he do? What is he holding? That makes a billionaire hand over the keys to the kingdom and keep him close for 20 years. That, my living skeleton friends, is not a question about Epstein. That's a question about everyone who opened a door for him. And we are going to be asking it for 3 straight episodes. Go on, Mark. The money. Where's the money?
The money. And this Shadow Dwellers is where the documented record doesn't give us a conspiracy theory. It gives us a genuine gaping hole. A void where an explanation should be. Here is what we can establish. Beyond the Wexner relationship, Epstein did earn colossal sums from a small number of other ultra-wealthy figures. To take the most striking documented example, the financier Leon Black, chairman of the giant Apollo investment firm, paid Epstein around $158 million for what were described as tax and estate planning services, $158 million to one man for financial advice. Black later stepped down from his firm over the association, and an internal review cleared him of wrongdoing. But the sheer scale of that single payment tells you the kind of money moving through Epstein's hands. But here's the void. His actual firm, based tellingly offshore in the US Virgin Islands, generated almost no public records. As Forbes magazine put it plainly, the source of his wealth generated no public records, and his client list was never released. And here's the detail that should stop you cold. Despite the townhouse, the island, the jet, the ranch, despite the whole gilded performance of a billionaire's life, Forbes concluded he probably wasn't even a billionaire at all. He never once appeared on their list of the 400 richest Americans. Federal prosecutors, years later, would look at his finances and describe a mysterious gap in the records. So the official, documented position, not the conspiracy version, the official version, is this. One of the most lavish private lifestyles in modern America was funded by a source of wealth that the public record cannot fully account for. The money doesn't add up. It never has. And when a fortune that large casts no shadow in the records, you have to ask what it was really being paid for.
A mysterious gap. Oh, I love that. That's prosecutor for. We followed the money, and it walked straight through a wall. Because normal money is loud, fleshies. Proper wealth leaves a trail a mile wide. Filings, taxes, deals, records, the lot. It's noisy. It shows up. But Epstein's fortune, silent, offshore, invisible. A great roaring river of cash with no visible spring feeding it. And in my very long experience, my lovable little monkeys, when a man is drowning in money that leaves no trace, it's usually because the money isn't payment for what he does. It's payment for what he knows, or what he can get, or who he can get it from. We did 2 whole episodes on hidden money, remember? Hidden money is never hidden for a nice reason. Nobody launders a charity donation. So, hold that thought. A man with an invisible fortune and a talent for opening impossible doors. And let's meet the people on the other side of those doors. Because that's the bit that turns your stomach. Go on, Mark. The network.
The network. And this is where the Epstein story stops being the tale of one strange, slippery man and becomes something that reaches into the very top of our world. Because Jeffrey Epstein knew everyone. And I don't mean he'd met them. I mean the documented record, flight logs, photographs, contact books, guest lists, witness testimony, places him, over the years, in the company of an almost unbelievable roster of the powerful. Presidents of the United States of both parties, a British royal, prime ministers, titans of Wall Street and Silicon Valley, world-famous scientists, genuine Nobel-calibre minds whom he cultivated and funded and gathered around himself, media owners, Hollywood names, university presidents. He gave money to the most prestigious universities on earth, and they took it, and they welcomed him. Now, I am going to be extremely careful and extremely clear here, and I'm going to repeat this principle every time we walk through this territory across these 3 episodes, because it is the difference between journalism and slander. Being in a photograph with Jeffrey Epstein is not a crime. Flying on his plane, dining at his table, taking his donation, appearing in his contact book, none of that on its own is proof that a person did anything wrong. Many of the people in his orbit have never been credibly accused of anything and were very likely drawn in by exactly the charm and false respectability we've been describing. Proximity is not proof. We will hold that line all the way through. We are not in the business of convicting people by association. But, and here is the question, our notes for this series put so well, and it's the right one. The interesting question is not merely who was involved. The interesting question is, why did so many of the most powerful people in the world want to know Jeffrey Epstein? What was he offering? What was the draw? Because a man does not assemble a Rolodex like that by accident. Something about proximity to Jeffrey Epstein was valuable to the most powerful people alive. And in part 2, we are going to ask very carefully what that something was.
And this is where I have to sit on my hands, daywalkers, and it's costing me, because I would dearly love to start naming names and swinging the scythe, but Mark's right, and it's important, so listen. There's a difference, a massive, crucial difference, between the ones who are proven and the ones who are merely near Epstein, proven, convicted, a monster on the public record, no debate, and he'll get the full force of my mouth before we're done. But the crowd around him, that's a spectrum, my darlings. At one end, people who shook his hand at a party once and are rightly mortified. In the middle, people who really ought to explain themselves a lot better than they have. And at the other end, well, that's what the files and the courts are for, and we'll get to what they do and don't say. So here's how your sarcastic old skeleton is going to play it fairly. I'll not accuse a soul who hasn't been convicted, but I will say this. An awful lot of very powerful, very clever, very well-advised people who have entire teams whose only job is to keep them away from anything unsavory, somehow all ended up in the same little black book as a convicted child sex offender. And their explanations, by and large, have been thin. I barely knew him. I only met him twice. I had no idea. Funny, isn't it, how the sharpest people in the world all suddenly develop such terrible memories and such poor judgment about the exact same man. I'm not saying anything, you understand. I'm just noticing. Loudly. Go on, Mark. Bring it home.
And there's one more thread I want to plant tonight, carefully, as a question, not a conclusion, because it runs underneath this entire series, and it will matter enormously by the time we reach part 3. How was all of this not stopped sooner? Because here's what we know. Epstein's homes were fitted with cameras. This is documented. Investigators later found extensive surveillance equipment in his properties, his island, his houses, wired. And the enduring question that hangs over the whole affair is this. If a man is filming what happens under his own roof, and powerful people are passing through that roof, then who has those tapes? What's on them? And if that footage exists, then somebody, somewhere, has known exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was for a very long time. This connects to the persistent and serious allegation, which we will examine properly and fairly in part 2, that Epstein's real business was not money at all, that the money was a cover, and that what he was really trading in was leverage, secrets, compromise, the most valuable currency in the world of the powerful. We're not going to resolve that tonight. That's a promise, not a dodge. We'll build it properly, on the record, across the next 2 episodes, but I want you to carry the question out of here with you, because it reframes everything. It suggests that Jeffrey Epstein may not have been a lone predator who got lucky with rich friends. It suggests he may have been a service. And the moment you ask, who was he working for, and who was protecting him, and who has the tapes, the story stops being about one wicked man and starts being about a system, about how power actually protects itself. And that Shadow Dwellers is the real file we're opening across these 3 nights.
Cameras in every house, filming the great and the good, doing God knows what. You do not wire your home like a casino, flesh bags, to keep an eye on the cat. You do it to record. And you don't record the most powerful people on earth for a laugh. You do it because film of a powerful person in a compromising moment is the single most valuable thing you can own. It's a leash. It's a key to every door that's left. It might even be the answer to that first question. Where does a nobody get an invisible fortune and a billionaire's trust? Maybe he was selling the one product the powerful can never get enough of and never stop fearing. Something on the other fella. I can't prove that tonight, and neither can Mark, and we won't pretend to. But you feel it, don't you? You feel the shape of it in the dark. Right, that's part 1, you lovely lot. The nobody who became the man who knew everyone, on money nobody can trace, behind doors that should never have opened. Next time, we go inside the machine.
So, where does that leave us at the end of the first night? With a college dropout who taught at an elite school he had no business teaching at, who walked onto Wall Street with no qualifications, who was handed a billionaire's power of attorney and through it a fortune the public record still cannot explain, who assembled the most powerful address book on earth, and who wired his homes to watch it all. None of what I've told you tonight is a theory. Every piece of it is on the documented record: the schools, the bank, the Wexner relationship, the missing money, the network, the cameras. And already, without a single unproven claim, you can feel that the official story, brilliant financier, charming socialite, who turned out to be a bad man, does not come close to covering it. There is too much money with no source, too many doors that open too easily, too many powerful people who wanted him close and now can't quite remember why. We began tonight, not with Jeffrey Epstein, but with the people who opened their doors to him. Keep them in your mind, because in part 2, the Empire of Influence, we follow the network deeper, the associates, the allegations, the intelligence connections that serious journalists have raised, the flow of the money, and the single most astonishing document in the entire case, the one that let a man like this walk free when he should have been finished, the plea deal of 2008. Check out our website and reach the team at the ecf.co.uk. Follow us on X and leave us a review. And a word before we go, to anyone listening who has survived something like what sits at the heart of this story: you are believed, and the shame was never yours. It belongs to him and to everyone who held the door. Until part 2, Shadow Dwellers, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep asking who opened the door. And we will catch you again. somewhere in time.
Who held the keys and why?
Yeah. Door swinging wide.
College dropout. Door swinging.
Yeah. Brooklyn kid, no degree, taught the children of the elite. Dalton school open first, and nobody walking through the street. On Wall Street, no finest papers, Ace Greenberg pull them in. Limited partner rising fast, but the real questions begin. One confirmed client only, Leslie Wexler the key. Full power of attorney, sign his name, spend the money. Free townhouse the size of an embassy. I'll inject a whole display of fortune so thin the public record still can't explain the pain.
Open the door for the man who knew everyone. Invisible money, locked files, the secrets never done. Proximity ain't proof, but the powerful still came near. We see the pattern now and we won't stand for the fear. Follow the money, follow the doors that swung.
The real crime
is the silence that protected everyone.
Offshore firm, no public trails. Folks gonna get mysterious. Never on the richest list despite the gilded circus. Cameras wired through the houses, not for the cat, not for fun. Recording leverage, compromise the currency of the ones who run the world. And still sat down at the same table. Presidents, princes, scientists, the black book was able to collect them all while the source of the cash stayed dark. A service of secrets, justice, finance, that's the mark.
Who opened the door for the man who knew everyone? Invisible money, locked files, the secrets never done. Proximity ain't proof, but the powerful still came near. We see the pattern now and we won't stand for the fear. Follow the money, follow the doors that swung.
The real crime
is the silence that protected everyone.
Once his luck, twice his charm. Over and over the doors unlock. A billionaire handed the keys. What did he hold? What was the stock? Not just a predator who got lucky with rich friends. A system that opens for the useful and never ends.
The doors stay open until we force them shut.
Documented rise, documented gap, documented network wide. No need for rumor when the public record already lied. By omission, by protection, by the powerful looking away, while the smallest pay the price and the rest got to stay. We separate fact from allegation, we hold the line of proof. But the question burns, who needed him close and for what truth? This is part one of the file, the rise, the money, the book. Next we go deeper into the machine they all mistook.
Who opened the door for the man who knew everyone? Invisible money, locked files, the secrets never done.
We name the pattern, we refuse to thin excuses now. Corruption wears a suit and smiles, we won't bow. They curious, they skeptical, keep asking who and why. The podcast from the shadows,
The doors will open wide. The evident conspiracy files. The podcast from the shadows.
Hello, I'm Mark Mayhew. I'm the creator of ECF Studios and the host of the Evident Conspiracy Files. Before we close tonight's story, I'd like to step out from behind the microphone and keyboard for a few moments and speak to you personally. When I was young, my younger brother Adam was one of the people who introduced me to the otherworldly, the strange, the unexplained, the stories that make you wonder whether there might be something hiding just beyond what we can see. Through that, I found myself drawn to Gothic novels, mysteries, folklore, ghosts, and all those strange corners of history where the truth and the unbelievable sometimes become difficult to separate. Years later, that fascination became mixed with something else, a determination to question the narratives we're given, to look a little deeper and occasionally ask, but what if? Eventually, those interests helped lead to the creation of ECF Studios, the Evident Conspiracy Files, and of course, grim stories. And Adam was part of that journey. So while I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode, there is something much more important I'd like to say before we leave you. Tonight I would like to dedicate this episode and grim stories to my younger brother, Adam Mayhew. Adam sadly passed away on the 10th of August. Far too young, he had spent 3 weeks in hospital battling a serious infection and sepsis, until eventually his body could fight no longer. I'll be honest, before this happened, I'd heard of sepsis, but I'd never really stopped to understand just how serious it could be. I do now, so if something doesn't feel right with you, persistent pain, swelling, and infection, or you're becoming seriously unwell, please don't simply try to man up and ignore it. Get yourself checked. There are people who love you, who would much rather you wasted a doctor's time than discovered you didn't have enough of your own. Adam leaves behind a family who loved him enormously, including his nieces and nephew. And he leaves behind countless memories, some hilarious, some probably best left out of a podcast, and some that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Adam also helped me with these shows, from fact-finding and ideas to storytelling and those conversations where one strange subject somehow became another. His input became part of what we were creating, and that will be truly missed, but perhaps in its own small way it also means a little piece of him remains here, in the stories, in the questions, and somewhere in the shadows. So to my little brother, thank you for the memories, for the laughs, for your help, and for setting me on this strange path all those years ago. I love you. You will never be forgotten. Rest in peace, Adam. Until we meet again.
Adam Mayhew. It appears, my friend, that your name has found its way into my book. But don't worry, I'm not turning the page just yet. And Mark, knowing brothers as I do, I suspect Adam would be rather disappointed if you made everyone cry. And then ended the podcast without giving him the last laugh. So I'll simply say this. Wherever Adam's journey has taken him, to a world beyond this one, I imagine he's already had a look around, asked several inappropriate questions, and found something he wasn't supposed to. Good man, and to those of you listening tonight, thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you to everyone who has shared an episode, left a review, sent a comment, recommended the podcasts to somebody else, or simply returned each week to listen. You've helped these shows grow more than you probably realize, and that makes you part of our little family. From the shadows, life, as tonight has reminded us, can be terribly short. So spend time with the people who matter. Tell them what they mean to you. Laugh whenever you have the opportunity. And perhaps don't wait until tomorrow to do the things that matter today. Because tomorrow, well, I have the book, and I'm afraid spoilers are strictly forbidden. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy life, look after one another, and, as always, question everything.